All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Brittany Budd. I'm a mindset and business coach, and I help online entrepreneurs to build and scale their online businesses to six figures and beyond. Today, I am with my good friend, Tracey. Tracey, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for everybody?
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Brittany. It's so wonderful to be here with you guys tonight. My name is Tracey Brown, and I am a mindset and manifestation coach who works with beautiful, multi-passionate, multi-potentialite women who want it all, but are struggling with that feeling of overwhelm and fear of missing out because they're afraid of making the wrong decisions and just need a little bit of help regaining that focus and that confidence and finding that clarity in the chaos so that they can make those decisions and move forward knowing that they're making the right decisions and finding that peace of mind. So that's what I do. One of the things that I do, being a multi-potentialite, I actually do a lot of things. Like I do all the things too. So yeah, all the things.
I love that. I think a lot of people can relate to that, especially as women and as moms. We're just multitasking all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Mum of two here, teenagers. So yeah, lots of things for them, and yeah, all the wifing and the housewifing and the working and the, mums do it all. We do it all.
We do it all. So tell me how you got into mindset and manifestation coach.
Oh, so originally when I first started coaching, or when I got back into coaching in about 2017, I thought I wanted to be a corporate coach and go into businesses and talk to them about employee engagement and, communication and, team building. And then my husband dropped this bombshell on us that that we were going to move overseas in 6 months. So we'd been kind of talking about this for 20 years, that we were going to, one day we were going to move overseas and do something exciting and go on a great big adventure. And so when he kind of announced that we're leaving in 6 months, I was kind of like, oh, that kind of complicates things a little bit, trying to go into businesses and sign them up for 12-month programs when you're leaving in 6 months is not really a thing. So we did move overseas, and when I got here I live in Italy, so my Italian is not that great. The idea of actually going into local businesses here and doing corporate coaching really wasn't an option for me. So, or at least not yet. So I thought for a little while that I'd do a bit of life coaching on the side, a bit of a side hustle working in the expat community with expat women here in Italy. And I actually found that I really loved working with other women and working one-to-one. And so I had just launched a 4-week program here in Torino called Life Coaching with Wine. And I'd done a vision boarding workshop with a group of amazing expat women here in Torino. And then we went into lockdown.
Of course.
And 12 months later, we're pretty much still in lockdown. And so that really meant that I had to pivot and change what I was doing and move online. And as a result of that, I kind of went through this massive evolution and change. And so much of that really came down to mindset and working through mindset. All of the people that I was working with this time last year, in fact, all of the people I still work with, mindset is such a huge part of what I do. But doing the vision boarding workshop, some of the girls that I worked with here in Torino started messaging me about 3 months into lockdown and telling me all of these things on their vision boards that they'd actually managed to manifest and achieve, even though we were in lockdown, that some of these things turned out slightly differently than what they had thought they might look like, but that they'd actually managed to still do some of these amazing things on their lists despite the circumstances. And so it really kind of took off from from there, I guess, like part of that process, I launched in, a month into the lockdown, I launched my first 5-day online challenge, Chaos to Clarity Challenge, which I ran a couple of times last year. Through that, I met people that I got involved in, 2 online summits presenting speeches. With that, I launched my group Mastermind program, and so it kind of all just started to fall into place. And yeah, took me in a completely different direction than where I thought I was going 3 years ago.
Yeah, and that happens. I love that you were so open to those pivots and kind of going in the direction where you were being led. That's so important in this online business space, that you recognize that you can have the freedom to do what you want to do and still have a profitable business doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is one of the things. It's about recognizing and being okay with the pivots and rolling with the punches when they happen, because we don't know what's coming next, like none of us do. Nothing's the same as it was. And really being flexible and adaptable is one of those things that is just so important. And I've found that with the multi-potentialite women that I work with, that is one of the skills that lots of multi-passionates, lots of multi-potentialites, it really doesn't matter. There's about 50 different names that people resonate with, but a couple of the key skills are flexibility and rapid learning. And then things like idea synthesis, so which I call habit stacking. So being able to put different combinations of things together to create something completely new and completely different, but doing it really quickly and really being responsive to the circumstances.
So amazing. So you've been doing this for a while now, and you've had these amazing pivots. What do you think was the kind of the glaring thing for you that was like, yes, I want to go down this path?
It's really funny. When because I was pivoting so quickly, everyone was, everything that you hear about online marketing and everything is like, find your niche, like write your I help statement and get really clear on who you help. And I was having so much trouble really defining who that person was. And I was working with a content coach last year who ended up saying, well, think of one of your clients. Like, are there any of your clients that you would love to work with? Again, like that is literally your ideal client. And that shifted everything for me, because I actually had a client who was the exact person that I would love to work with. I loved their energy. I loved, working with her, the way that we would just like riff off each other. And every time we came together for both of us, it just felt like sunshine, and just golden sparkles. I'm like, yeah. But so I was like, oh my goodness, this girl, she is my ideal client. And so thinking about what that was and what she represented, because it wasn't a case of, when everyone says, oh, well, think of yourself 5 years ago. She's not me 5 years ago, because she's actually only 20. So right. She doesn't have kids. She's not, wasn't a stay-at-home mom or any of the things that I was 5 years ago. But then I had other clients that had radiated that same energy. And for me, it came back to that it was this joint energy that they had, and it was so hard for me to define who that was. I just knew who those clients were. As soon as I spoke to them, as soon as I met them, I just knew who they were. And it was actually working with you that actually really helped me put a word to that and realize that actually the reason that I felt that energy with them was because they're all multi-potentialites, and that a lot of them don't necessarily realize that they are yet. If I described what a multi-potentialite was, they're like, oh yeah, that's me. But they didn't necessarily come and say, look, I'm a multi-potentialite and I'm struggling with these problems. It was that resonant energy between us was the multi-potentialite in me recognizing that multi-potentialite energy in them, and the two of us just clicking. And so I think it was really that energetic match that really led me down this path, along with, you know, my interest in things. So I started out with corporate coaching and things like goal setting and action planning and things like that. And it really took a huge turn during the lockdown with a bit of a spiritual awakening and a spiritual reawakening for me, and getting so much more involved in things like, you know, the law of attraction and positive affirmations and, you know, tapping and, you know, aligning my manifestation activities with the moon cycles and things like that. So that spiritual side of it has now kind of come in and really kind of merged with all of that scientific kind of goal setting and action planning side, and become something more focused on the manifestation. But it is very much rooted in, you know, like the woo, but also the science that backs it up.
I love that. Now, for everyone that's listening to this on the podcast or catching the replay of this in the group or on the YouTube channel, they might be thinking, excuse me, well, how do I know if I'm a multi-potentialite? Can you explain that a bit?
Yeah, sure. So multi-potentialites can be, they're not necessarily just one particular thing. There are lots of people who are multi-potentialites who identify as neurodiverse. So lots of multi-potentialites might have things like dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADD, ADHD, or they could be highly gifted. And so really what it comes down to, like the definition kind of thing, is that it's somebody who has multiple, so the multi, many potentials, or a bit like multi-talented. But the thing is, with multi-potentialites, you really do want to do all of the things all at the same time. And sometimes it's really hard to know where to start first. People might think that you're a little bit flaky because you job hop a lot, or you start things and you're really enthusiastic, like you dive in and you want to know all the things about a thing, but then you learn exactly what you needed to learn from that. And then you walk away and everyone's like, but wait, I thought you wanted to, you know, become a doctor, and you went and did like pre-med, and then you decided that you're going to become a financial analyst. Or
hey now. I'm getting called out right now.
But it's not meant to call you out, though.
No,
it's
I know.
really meant to, like, it's that ability to really like love what you do, but to also love lots of other things. And that it's actually a superpower, because you have such a diverse skill set that you actually know a lot about a lot of different things. And you might not be a specialist in that you've spent 10 years studying to become a cardiac surgeon, or that you have gone to law school to become a lawyer, but you might have done, you know, you might have skills in bookkeeping, and you might have skills in retail sales, and you might have skills in, you know, like car mechanics, or like, I don't, like really diverse, sometimes things that seem really incongruent, like they don't seem to match. And actually, that's usually where I find people, if they're like, but none of the things match, like none of these things go together, and the picture just, it doesn't look like I do anything, like there's no pattern here. But so often, actually the skills that they've picked up along the way are actually the things that are leading them down a path. They just don't realize that it's taking them forward. And so, like, to give an example, personal example, I had a really long career in luxury jewelry before I had my kids, and then I went back into it afterwards. But I had also worked in telecommunications, like in a call center and in credit collections and, in administration and personal assistance. And when I worked in the jewelry industry, one of the companies that I worked for was like a multi-potentialite heaven, because it was a small business and I was able to multi-skill within the whole business. So I did retail sales and I did stock control and I learned how to rethread pearl strands and I learned how to do, like all of the different things. But one of the great things that comes out of like that experience that doesn't look like any of it matches. Like if you looked at someone's resume, you'd be like, none of like this person just jumps from job to job. But I actually really understand so well how different parts of a business come together and how they fit together, because I've pretty much done all of the roles that you can imagine in a business. Like I've worked in sales, I've worked in customer service, I've worked in credit, I've worked in admin, like I've worked behind the scenes, I've worked front of house, and I know how all of those things go together. And so many other multi-potentialites are the same. That all of the skills that they've had give them these amazing building blocks to build something amazing and do something that actually harnesses all of their skill sets, if only they're willing to actually embrace who they are without the fear of, oh, but if I tell people I'm going to do this, they're going to think, oh, not again. Like, it's just another harebrained idea. She'll like it for 3 minutes and then she'll be on to the next thing.
I love that. Thank you so much for breaking that down for everybody, because I think so many people, like I said, like you use me as an example, so many people can relate, right? Tell me why this work is so important to you.
I feel really passionate about this because obviously I am a multi-potentialite as well, and I've spent so much time struggling personally with those feelings of, lack of self-belief, lack of self-confidence, because the way that I have felt about other people's perceptions of me as not achieving my potential or not reaching, not doing anything useful with my life, really held me back for a long time. And it actually really took until we moved overseas and kind of like had this whole new growth opportunity to start afresh and, do it in our own kind of way where everything was new, that it's so freeing to actually be able to let go of the weight of other people's expectations. It is so freeing to let go of the weight of feeling that sense of failure within ourselves, and really being able to step up and love ourselves as perfectly imperfect, and really stepping forward and then thriving is just, like it's beyond amazing for me to see my clients really come out of their shells and turn into these amazing, strong, capable, successful women. And so I had a particular client that I started working with last year who had been really struggling with lockdown and isolation, and she's also a coach. I'm not a coach who just coaches, but some of my clients are coaches, and she came to me really struggling with confidence. She was trying to launch her business, and she had a lot of that self-doubt. I don't think I can do this. I don't have the skills. I don't know what I'm doing. And a couple of times she got to the point where she's like, I think I'm just going to have to put this down and walk away. Like, this isn't for me. I can't do this, because she was also really trying to conform to the expectations that, oh, and you need a landing page and you need to have like an online course and you need to launch this and you need to do that. And so, not because I was telling her that, by the way, but she was doing all of these things and it really wasn't aligned for her. It wasn't the way that she wanted to coach. It wasn't the way that she wanted to serve. And she had to put it down for 5 minutes. But we continued to work through her fears and her mindset issues and all of the things. And as we went through this process, she had these other amazing opportunities start to manifest for her. So she recently just was involved with an art book project where she did this series of paintings and wrote a chapter for a book that's being launched. And then out of that, she's now been offered a coaching role with that organization. And so she's now manifested these amazing opportunities. And the person that she is now, compared to the person that she was when we first started working together, is completely different. And we've talked about this so many times that, so again, so much of it comes back to the mindset and giving ourselves the grace and the space when we need to slow down sometimes and really listen to what is resonating for us or what is really feeling out of alignment. And that sometimes it's okay to put things down for a minute and just settle and see where we're at, and then come back to them again later and move forward from a different energy.
I think that's a really important message to be saying, because especially for women, you know, the hustle culture is really forced down our throats. We're to go, go, go all the time. But it's so important to recognize that so much growth happens in the rest. Like taking a break, resting, or relaxing, sitting back for a minute. That's when more magic can present itself to us, because we're open to seeing it when we're not like blinders on, hustling till our eyeballs bleed in that terrible energy.
Yeah.
So I love that you just pointed that out.
I think it gives us that time, as you said, like to catch up, because we've been doing this phenomenal growth. But because we're in the middle of it, growth happens like in the middle of the hard stuff. We need that grace period to actually like let our body kind of catch up to where our mind's gotten to, so that we can actually integrate it. And then, as you said, like reset that energy and really like just move forward from that right place where we're replenished and refreshed and, you know, good to go.
Yeah, so good. All right, let's talk about your journey now.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I want to ask you, so Tracey is one of my amazing masterminders in the Audience Incubator. I want to talk about before you applied. What was going on in your business? What were you thinking and feeling that made you feel like you had that nudge to apply?
Okay, so last year I really felt like I was in the middle of the washing machine, constantly like evolving and pivoting and changing and shifting. And while I felt a lot of that was me just keeping my head above water. Like every time I'd think I'd catch my breath and get myself sorted, then something new would happen. And I had a Facebook group that I really wasn't harnessing effectively. It wasn't really doing anything. I'd tried a couple of times. Actually, I'd sort of run like some little pop-up speaker summits where I'd had a bunch of guest experts come in and do some talks, and that was really good and all. But it was fatiguing trying to organize all the speakers in amongst everything else. And the second time I did it, I kind of dropped the ball a little bit because the timing was, I think I had some uni exams on at the same time, and I picked a bad time for it. But when I joined the mastermind, I had just changed my website hosting provider. So I had ended up losing all of my mailing list. I had to rebuild my website from scratch. I was really looking to, this year for me was all about illumination and, you know, illuminating the resistance as well as like shining my light for the world. And I had been feeling some massive resistance with my Facebook group. I had been feeling some massive resistance against visibility. Like I'd done a lot of visibility work last year and I'd kind of hit a wall. And So I really wanted to, you know, buy into your whole making money should be really fucking easy. and you know, I read the stuff about Audience Incubator, and it was just like you were speaking to me. Like I was like, yeah, that's what I need. Like I need to get my group sorted out. I need to do these things. I need to get my mailing list sorted out again. And so it was, I wasn't actually going to join because I'd actually just joined a money mindset program that I had been really wanting to do, that I'd been saving up for all last year. And I wasn't going to do it. And then I was like, no, I think this is what I need. I think this is what I need right now. This is what my business needs. And so that was that.
Yeah, and you and I had gone back and forth in the DMs a few times while you were thinking about it. What hesitancies were you having when it came to the decision?
It was probably mostly that I had just committed a significant sum of money to another program like 2 weeks earlier. So I had just committed a ton of money, and I was like, this is not the right time to then be committing another significant sum of money to something else when I need to be focusing on actually like making money in my business. But I knew that, and I told you, I knew we were going to work together. Like I just knew that at some point we were supposed to work together, and whether it was going to be one-on-one or whether it was meant to be Audience Incubator, that it was going to be a thing. And so I was thinking about, as part of my illumination process, I was like, okay, so what is my resistance here? Like, why am I holding back? Because I knew that I'd said to you that if I was going to work with you one-on-one, that wouldn't be until like way later in the year, because I had other financial goals that I wanted to achieve. And I was like, well, but I need this now. Like, so what am I waiting for? Why am I going to wait 6 or 8 months to work with Brittany when I know I want to work with her now, and there's actually something I could do right now? And so I just took that leap of faith. I was like, yep, okay, gonna do it. Had my little moment where I was like, oh my God, am I going to be able to like commit this money when I've just committed a ton of money to something else? And I was like, you know what? Just going to do it. And then the resistance was gone. Like I just knew, like I'd committed and I made the decision and I wasn't afraid anymore.
Did you feel like you had to sacrifice anything to be a part of it?
Not really. No, not sacrificing. This year for me was very much about working on my money mindset as well. So it wasn't really a sacrifice, because the way that I'm trying to look at money and the way I'm trying to make my decisions is not about like sacrificing one thing to do something else. It's about, you know, like investing into myself and then allowing the money to, like the abundance to come back to me. Like the energy that you put out there, what you, you know, like the frequency that you're vibrating at is what you attract back to you. And if I was coming from a place of scarcity and thinking, oh my God, I've sacrificed this to do this, it would be the wrong energy. It would be the wrong reason to join. So no, I was like full love and abundance when I made that decision. That was it.
I love this. Can you speak to any objections that you felt you had to overcome when it came to investing in yourself?
I used to be that girl who couldn't afford to do the things, who used to have to ask her husband before she would invest in things, who always thought, oh, I could never afford to invest that kind of money, like where I would just feel like that was so out of reach. And it's really funny. I was thinking about this not that long ago when we were, I think during one of our coaching sessions, when we were talking about, money and ideal clients, and talking about like not making assumptions about people and whether they can afford to pay. Because I used to be that girl that I felt like I couldn't afford it. So I always assumed that my clients couldn't afford it either, that they would never pay that kind of money to work with me because I could never afford that kind of money to work with me. And it was really funny looking at it and seeing how much my mindset has changed over these last 2 years. And even since the beginning of this year, when I made a really huge push towards working on money mindset, that the objections that I used to really struggle with are not the kinds of things that I struggle with now. So it wasn't really pricing objections in terms of joining the program. In the early days, there is always, especially when you are in early stages of your business or you're a freelancer or things like that, where you're like, oh my goodness, I can make this month's payment, but like, how am I going to pay again next month? So, sometimes there is that kind of resistance, but, I have been phenomenally lucky over this last 12 months that the programs that I've invested in, I have always managed to manifest the money that I've needed to pay for them. So I don't really worry about it from that point of view, because there is always more. There is always money coming. You've just got to have faith.
Well said. Well said. I love that you took the leap of faith and you were just like, you know what, the money's coming. Because as a manifestation coach, if we wait for the money to just show up in our bank account so then we can take the next step, it's never going to come. Like, we got to take the step first in faith and then believe that it's coming. And it always does when we do those scary things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me about your thoughts and feelings after we started in the mastermind. Like, I was like, okay, Trace, like, you're in, I'm ready to take you, you're ready to jump in, let's go. What was the thought and feeling after that?
I couldn't wait for it to start, because I think we found out it wasn't starting for like a week after, or it was like 3 or 4 days, or I don't know what it was, but I was like, I just can't wait. I want it to start today. I was just like so on board and so ready to go, excited to meet the girls in the group, excited to really dive in. And then when we did start, like when you did the first week of training, I've got like pages of notes in the back of my planner, where it's like all my audience incubator notes, and I can still go back and refer to those, and it's been super helpful.
Love it.
Awesome.
So my next question for you is, what has surprised you most about my process?
I love your self-coaching process. Actually, I've never come across that before. And I think that has been really eye-opening, not just from the self-coaching point of view, but in terms of the getting into the brain of your ideal client and what they're thinking has been really good. Other things about your process that are surprising. Actually, I really enjoy the group coaching sessions, because I've been in other programs before where it's very much like led as part of a program, like the set, well, this is what we're talking about and this is what we're doing. But I love that you meet all of us exactly where we're at on the day. And while, like there's common threads between everybody, everyone's situations are different, but you just meet us all exactly where we are, and that there is also so much community between the girls as well, that you've built this amazing space for us to all be safe and vulnerable with each other and with you, but that you're also not afraid to call us out on our bullshit.
I love it. Okay. Tell me why you're glad to be a part of the mastermind.
It's everything that I'd been hoping for. It was everything that was advertised, but it was also unexpected because there were so many elements of it that I really wasn't, I guess I had not expected you to deliver so much value, if that makes sense. That I've been in other programs where it's not necessarily the same kind of value delivery, or the community isn't quite the same. It's a really tight-knit mastermind group. Everybody, like, I think most of us have become friends on Facebook and like joined each other's groups and cheer each other on in the group, but also outside the group. And so I'm really glad that I joined, because it was actually so much more than just learning how to build and grow my Facebook group or build and grow my audience. It was really a lot more also about being lifted up by and helping to lift up other women entrepreneurs, which I love.
So good. I love it. Tell everybody why it's already paid off for you.
So it has, for me, it has had some amazing turnarounds in terms of with my group. Brittany, you have pushed us to provide more value in our groups, and I have had, since the beginning of Audience Accelerator, I've had over 132 new members in my group, all organic, because I rarely advertise my group in other groups, like on group threads or anything like that. So it's mostly people who've found my group on their own. And of those, 50% of them have then also signed up to my mailing list as well, which is just phenomenal. So I've had over like 60 new subscribers onto my email list, which I really wasn't leveraging very well before. So that actually more than doubles my mailing list. And of that, because of the work we've been doing together, I have been emailing my mailing list more consistently. And I've currently got a 25 to 30% open rate on my emails, which that might not sound like a lot, but the actual industry average, according to MailChimp and Campaign Monitor, is 18 to 21% open rate. So the fact that I've got 25 to 30% is really, like, I'm really happy with that. My Facebook group has grown to just under 2,900 members. It was over that, but I also learned from you how to trim the unavailable members out of the group, trim the dead wood. So I think I've removed about 100 accounts that are no longer even active on Facebook. So it's just sitting under 2,900 at the moment. And of that, 1,474 have been active in the group since I started Audience Incubator. So that's about 50% engagement, which I'm really happy with, because I don't think it was even close to 50% before I started Audience Incubator. I ran a 5-day masterclass series, which was based on my 5-day challenge I ran last year, that I had just been sitting on that content. So I'm really, really thankful that you gave me that push to deliver that into my group. And I've had some really good feedback from people who have done some of the work. So I've had like a ton of my ideal clients actually joining my group now. So I rebranded my group as well, which I probably should have mentioned first. So I revamped my group to align it more with the multipotentialites and the Renaissance women and the multi-passionates. And so all of those new members are people who have joined because that's what they're looking for. Whereas before it was just, like a girl boss movement group where it was just, like anybody who wanted to join and like spam the group with their, hi, this is what I do. And, let's not engage on anybody else's posts. Let's just have like, yes ladders and follow trains and things like that I hate. Right. So that was really good. So putting out more content into my group, more value into my group, actually creating connections with some of the people who have joined the group and then followed the content, who've both DM'd me, but also emailed me. Like a couple of them have actually started replying to my emails when I send them out and saying, oh yeah, this really resonated for me, or, oh, this was amazing. I've also booked 2 podcast interviews plus this one, obviously, like this aside from this. So 3 podcast interviews since Audience Incubator started. I've also got somebody coming and guest experting in my group on Wednesday. I've got a collaboration with another girl for like a women's circle, like half-day event in May. That came out of conversations, again, that came out of stuff I've been doing since Audience Incubator. And then some of my other things that I've had some Reiki distance healings and some Moonology readings, like paid readings that have come through again because I've been posting more and putting my content out there and things like that have happened. So, like making money, growing groups, sending emails, engaging, like all of the things that Brittany's promising that you're going to be doing, you're going to start doing if you do the work.
I love this. And we're only 2 months in, so we still have 4 beautiful months to go.
And I'm so excited.
I love it. Okay. What challenges have you overcome since joining the Mastermind?
So I did have a bit of an energetic slump. The week that I did my challenge, I had some upper limit problems to do with some things that happened at home with one of my kids. And that I hit a bit of a wall with that and then took a bit of a visibility dive. So there was a bit more resistance there that it then took a little bit of time and effort to overcome, and just making sure that I was still showing up for the coaching sessions, staying in the room, engaging with the posts and doing the things that even if I hadn't been doing the things myself, that I was still absorbing from everybody else and being inspired, so that then I was getting back on the horse easier rather than just disengaging and running away and hiding.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. I love that we were able to kind of have that space for you, because people think that like business and life is just like an uphill diagonal trajectory all the time, and it's just like everything's perfect all the time, yay, and it just keeps getting better every day. That's just not realistic. Like there's ups, downs, twists and turns. And so yeah, I love that you kind of touched on having one of those moments, but then having, the community that we've created specifically for the masterminders to kind of lean on. I think that's really important, because entrepreneurship can be such a lonely journey too.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that as women entrepreneurs we have differently than men is that we have all of the things that we're worrying about all the time, like what's happening with the kids. Are they well? Are they happy? Are they doing well in school? You know, do they have clean clothes to wear to school? Do we have food in the fridge? Oh, and I've got coaching calls, and oh, I've got, like I've got to do this, and I've got to post on social media, and I need to write that, worksheet that I've promised for like an event, or I need to do all of these things. And you get to the point sometimes where you can't always talk about it with your friends who might not be entrepreneurs, or with your partner who really just doesn't get it, because it's okay for him. He can just get up in the morning and go to work and come home and have dinner and whatever.
Yeah.
And having a really strong community of like-minded women who are also wanting to achieve more, who are trying to achieve more, and who are interested in helping you to achieve more, it really makes a huge psychological difference. And, it's amazing to be around other people who want the same things that you want.
Yeah. I love that. Tell me how your results so far have impacted you in your life.
Well, I feel a lot more calm and confident, I think, about the way that I'm writing my content now that I've kind of nailed my niche in a way that I feel comfortable about, because as I mentioned before, I'd really been struggling with the wording. And Brittany, you'll probably remember in those early days when we first started working on that, the kind of ICA that I talked about was completely different. Like I was talking about spiritually aware women and whatnot. And it's just those little shifts have made it so much easier to write content that comes from the heart and that resonates, that it flows more freely. And that impacts, because then I'm less anxious about what am I going to write, or how am I going to do this, or what is the right thing to say, or oh God, I haven't posted, or any of those things. So that kind of level of calmness then impacts, because then I'm less amped up when, the kids come in and they're like, feed me. And I'm like, off. Mommy's busy. Stop it. They're teenagers. They're not little, so I don't swear at them.
I love it.
Actually, I don't swear at my children either. I don't tell them to fuck off. I usually just tell them to go away or feed themselves. Go and make yourself a sandwich. Let's regroup for a minute. Yeah, so impacting my life, more calm and confident for sure. In terms of content, more confident that I guess that I can make it work, and that I can do the things that I can achieve the goals that I want to achieve. It's less about the not believing that I can ever get there, but having some of those clarity moments of, yeah, it really can be so easy. You've just got to stop standing in your own way.
Yeah. So powerful. So what would you say to someone that was thinking about applying for the May class of the Mastermind?
Just do it. Just do it. You have literally nothing to lose except the money that you invest into it. And at the end of the day, you're investing in yourself and your own ability to get the outcomes. Like if you don't believe that you are worth the money, then you probably won't get the results. But if you believe that what you want is what you deserve, then you're going to keep working towards it until you get what you deserve. because you're not going to give up, because you have that grit and that resilience and that determination to succeed no matter what. So if that's you, if you feel like you want something more, if you want something better for yourself, Brittany's going to help you do that, because she's not going to put up with your bullshit. She's going to call you on it, but she's going to be there to support you. And she's going to help build an amazing community who is going to help get you through on those days when you are thinking, fuck, I can't do this. I just don't have it in me. And they're going to remind you that actually you can, that you're fucking amazing and you can do it. So just do it.
Yeah.
Just apply. You've got nothing to lose.
So good. Thank you. Tracey, how can everybody get in touch with you? Where can we find you?
So you can find me on Facebook. You can find me at facebook.com/vibrant coach. You can join my group. That is facebook.com/groups/empowered women rise together. So the group is just called Empowered Women Rise, but somebody else already had that name. So it's Empowered Women Rise Together. You can find me on Instagram at instagram.com/vibrant coach. Or you can connect with me on LinkedIn, which is linkedin.com/in/Tracy-Rampling-Brown.
Awesome. I love it. So after this uploads into the Facebook group, if you would be so kind to drop all those amazing links for everyone to click. I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. It was amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure to be here. And I really just want to remind you guys again, like, just apply, just do it. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it.
Thank you. I love it. Just do it. It seems to be the consensus from everybody. Just do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you later this week. Bye.